I titled today's Neville Goddard conversation, Who You Imagine Imagines You. So let's reflect together upon this quote here in which he says, "To cultivate the faculty of seeing the invisible, we should often deliberately disentangle our minds from the evidence of the senses and focus our attention on an invisible state, mentally feeling it and sensing it until it has all the distinctness of reality." Now, this is a wonderful quote for many reasons, two of which are as follows. Number one, disentangling our minds from the evidence of the senses brings our attention to the formless self, I, awareness. By doing this, we completely ascend beyond any doubt. Doubt could be considered an adversary to accepting a desired state. I see doubt as revealing subconscious beliefs, which I is transcendent to anyways. So there's no concern, for you can dissolve those beliefs via inner conversation with them, as we discussed in Thursday's video. I'll put a link in the description to it. So this I transcends beliefs and personal identity. It has neither face, form, nor figure. It can, however, mold into structure by whatever we consciously choose to associate with it. This I in each of us is one with the I of all. Number two, from this I center, we imagine carrying on a conversation with someone we desire to speak with beyond doubt. This conversation is an accurate representation of an invisible, desirable state. And as we accept the self-suggestion, by feeling its realness in imagination, it happens. For example, the other day, I got back from the gym and I was looking at an image, and right away I thought of a client. I thought feelingly of this client, which is to accept the suggestion. And this is someone who I did not speak with nor think of for around 3 months. So as I sat at my desk, an email pops up, and it was an email from her. She said, "Let's book a call. I'd like to discuss some items with you." So who imagined who? It appears from my experience that it happens at the same time. I verified this in many conversations I've had with others. Now this makes sense because we're taught that time is a construct of the mind. These occurrences seem to be increasing each day as I continue to work with this information. However, upon deeper introspection, I realized that it was always happening. You and I are no different in that we both share the same I, awareness. Now we are more conscious of what we are imagining and inner dialoguing about, and we can feel if it is purposeful or not. Lighthearted observation and feeling is the secret. You know what state you are in based on how you feel. I also find that these kinds of who you imagine imagines you occurrences happen quite frequently if it is related to what I love. So let's go back to disentangling our minds from the evidence of the senses, and let's acknowledge the formless self, I. There is a benefit to doing this regularly on its own. As one dedicates themselves to this contemplation of their awareness or beingness, they experience a deep feeling of connectedness with all, bringing us to a realization that this I in each of us is the same I in all. As I've been acknowledging this I more so over the years, I notice that when I'm out and about, people seem to smile at me more often. And in big cities, where I once considered others to be quite reserved, people seem to start conversations with me more often. I believe that this is because it is the one I, and all reflects the beliefs, and remember, a state is a body of beliefs we fuse with inside. It seems that by contemplating this I, beliefs regarding doubt-based separation with others seem to dissolve. And so this would explain these experiences playing out. This is also perhaps why many who are involved with meditation and self-contemplation practices seem to feel deep compassion and empathy for others as they reveal this I. As he says here, your beliefs, your fixed attitudes of mind, constantly modify your consciousness as it is reflected on the mirror of your mind. Your consciousness, modified by your beliefs, objectifies itself in the conditions of your world. To change your world, you must first change your conception of it. So the world works how you believe it does. And if we change our beliefs of how the world works, we shall notice the changes. And you can do this by imagining what is ideal and accepting that suggestion as reality beyond any potential doubt. It is also important to have loving beliefs when relating with others, such as, others imagine lovingly of me as I imagine lovingly of them. This plays out as loving relationships in various forms. And we also find it is easier to accept our suggestions related to who I imagine imagines me. So as we acknowledge the desirable experiences that play out in regards to who you imagine imagines you, by logging or journaling them, they seem to increase. And so I'm referring to the consciously intended ones here. I find this way of being to be also very helpful in business. For example, to know that people will show up ready to receive the services, and they always do, because they imagine the service and you imagine providing the service. You have a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. I can also assure you, as you encourage this idea, fears, doubts, and indecision in marketing, selling, and innovation will dissolve as well. So when it comes to imagining others lovingly, I find it is happening at the exact same time. They are also imagining us lovingly. I believe that how we imagine others in general plays an important role in working with disability. So we mentioned the I in you and the I in others is actually the same I. And to acknowledge this, one feels a deep love and compassion for others and themselves. Giving and receiving is one. Regular contemplation of this can be very helpful. What has also been very helpful is to imagine others lovingly wherever I am, in public, in conversation, or when someone pops up in my mind. For every word shall not return to us void, as it is the same I. For really, what we imagine upon others is also being imagined upon ourselves. All are interconnected in the one mind. So imagine with me for a moment, always walking through life, knowing that who you imagine imagines you, who you desire desires you, who you love loves you. It's a feeling of perpetual completion. You never feel alone because you have everything inside, which this outer world reflects in ways that will often pleasantly surprise you. This to me is a verbal representation of the who you imagine imagines you state. And so he says, the question is often asked, what should be done between the assumption of the wish fulfilled and its realization? Nothing. It is a delusion that other than assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you can do anything to aid the realization of your desire. Everything happens automatically. All that befalls you, all that is done by you, happens. So all the roles are played by a power higher than the identity. The identity is the state we assume in imagination. So he says, if you hear something that is unlovely, don't accept it, but instantly revise it. Hear the words that ought to have been spoken, and persuade yourself to the best of your ability that it is so. So as mentioned, we can do this instantaneously, as he says here, but instantly revise it. Or we could do it prior to going to sleep or in combination, whatever you'd like. Before going to sleep is helpful because at this time, the conscious mind is more at ease while we're in a theta state, which he refers to as state akin to sleep, where the subconscious is more receptive. He says, now here's how we do it. At the end of the day, I review my day. I don't judge it. I simply review it. I look over the entire day, all the episodes, all the events, all the conversations, all the meetings, and then I see it clearly in my mind's eye. I rewrite it. I rewrite it and make it conform to the ideal day I wish I had experienced. I take scene after scene and rewrite it, revise it. And having revised my day, then in my imagination, I relive that day, the revised day, and I do it over and over in my imagination until the seeming imagined state begins to take on to me the tones of reality. It seems that it's real, that I actually did experience it, and I have found from experiences that these revised days, if really lived, will change my tomorrows. When I meet people tomorrow that today disappointed me, they will not tomorrow, for in me I have changed the very nature of that being. And having changed him, he bears witness tomorrow of the change that took place within me. So as the mind becomes lighter with revision, it feels easier to do this during the day and accept the suggestion, as there is little or no overthinking and mental chatter during the day. You can also acknowledge the ability that you do this real time in the presence of people. You'll be aware of how you feel, and you can acknowledge, without reacting, if your state is changing. You'll then be able to suggest to yourself, or feel yourself back, or think feelingly into your ideal state of mind as you notice others and yourself, further encouraging your ideal state of mind. And so from reaping the benefits of practicing this every day, I encourage you to also do this wherever you go, and you'll find that it is extremely well worth it. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's go ahead and conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage. I am my ideal now. From the premise of this love, others show up to reflect the love in me. From this recognition of the completion within of I, which is one with the I of all, I realize that who I imagine imagines me. I find it easier to accept my self-suggestions as there is no power outside greater than imagination. For who I imagine imagines me into life experiences. I imagine others lovingly as others return to sender my loving thoughts. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.